Madrid, with its big streets and old buildings, was the perfect place for Benjamin to grow his business. He was very smart and could turn any business into a success. From when he was young, he worked hard, and because of his hard work, he became very rich. But even though he had everything, there was something missing in his life. One morning, while drinking coffee in his fancy office, Benjamin got a call from a real estate agent. "Benjamin, I have something you might like," the agent said excitedly. "It's an old mansion outside Madrid. It has been empty for years, but it is beautiful. With some work, it could be worth a lot of money." Benjamin asked to see more pictures, and when he saw them, he liked it. The mansion was old, with tall columns and a garden that, though messy, still looked special. It was just the kind of project Benjamin loved. He said, "Schedule a visit. I want to see it for myself." 2 days later, Benjamin drove to the mansion, excited. The house was in a quiet place, hidden behind trees. When he saw the house, he was amazed. It was even more beautiful in person, even though parts of it were broken and old. Benjamin didn't see a broken house. He saw a house he could fix up. He walked around the garden, imagining how beautiful it could look again. When he went inside, he saw dusty floors, broken windows, and chandeliers covered with spider webs. The house felt sad, but Benjamin liked the challenge. "This house has a soul," he said, smiling. The agent, following behind him, smiled too. "There are rumors about this house," the agent said. "They say it was used for big parties in the past, but also had some bad things happen." Benjamin was interested. "What do you mean by bad things?" The agent shrugged. "Just old stories. Nothing proven." Benjamin didn't believe in ghosts or strange things. He cared about money, and the house could make him more. So, he decided to buy it. Back at his office, Benjamin started planning how to fix the mansion. He hired a team to look at the house and make a plan. But even as he worked on the plans, he couldn't stop thinking about the mansion. There was something about it that felt strange. "It's just a house," he told himself. But deep down, he felt there was more to it. When Benjamin went back to the mansion to start the work, he was excited. The workers were already there, taking pictures and making plans. But Benjamin went outside and walked around the garden. Inside, it was very quiet, and he noticed that some windows on the second floor were locked from the inside. He wondered, who locked these windows? The house has been empty for years. As he explored upstairs, he found an empty room with old furniture and some things on the floor, like a flashlight and food wrappers. Then he heard a strange noise, like footsteps upstairs. He went up to the attic and opened the door. Inside, it was dark and dusty. Suddenly, he heard footsteps behind him. He turned, but no one was there. He quickly went downstairs, but everything was quiet again. The next day, Benjamin came back to the mansion with his friend Mike, who knew about fixing old buildings. He told Mike about the noises, but Mike laughed. "Old houses do that," Mike said. "It's just the wind or animals." But Benjamin wasn't so sure. He walked around again and found something new in the room where he had seen the flashlight and food. There was a piece of paper on the floor. It was a drawing made by a child. It showed a little girl holding a baby with a mansion in the background. Benjamin was confused. Who made this? He asked himself. That night, Benjamin couldn't sleep. The drawing and the strange noises kept coming back to his mind. The next day, he went to the mansion again. This time, he took a flashlight and walked around the house all alone. When he went to the attic, he felt the air was different, and that's when he saw something that made him stop. In the corner of the attic, he saw a little girl, no older than 10. She was looking at him with big, scared eyes. "Hello," Benjamin said. "Try to be gentle. I'm not going to hurt you." The girl didn't speak but stepped back. She was holding a blanket. Benjamin took a slow step forward. "My name is Benjamin. What are you doing here?" The girl looked at him for a moment before whispering, "I live here. Please don't send us away." Benjamin was shocked. "Us?" he asked. The girl nodded and pointed to a corner. That's when Benjamin saw a baby, wrapped in a blanket, sleeping on the floor. Benjamin realized the kids were living here alone. "Who are you?" Benjamin asked the girl. "Isla," she whispered. "Isla, you don't need to be afraid. I'm here to help," Benjamin said softly. Isla stepped back and said, "Nobody helps us. They say they will, but then they leave. It's always just me taking care of him." "I'm not going anywhere," Benjamin promised. "But I need to understand what's going on." Are you alone here? Esau hesitated and then nodded. Yes, just me and Levi. Suddenly, Benjamin heard a noise downstairs, like something had fallen. Does that happen a lot? He asked Esau. Yes, sometimes. Always when someone new comes, she said. Benjamin was unsure of what was happening. Maybe it was just the old house making strange sounds, or maybe there was something else going on. He felt nervous, but he told Esau, "Stay here, I'll check it out." "No, don't go." Esau cried, holding his arm. "What if it's someone bad?" "I'll be quick," Benjamin promised. He went downstairs, but when he reached the first floor, he found a metal chair on the floor, like it had fallen by itself. He was confused, but then he heard a noise behind him, like footsteps on the wooden floor. He turned around, but no one was there. When Benjamin came back to the attic, Esau looked even more worried. "My mom said she would come back, but she didn't," she said, her voice shaky. Benjamin felt sad. Esau explained that her mother had brought them to the mansion because they had no place else to go, but she had gone out to get food and hadn't come back. "How long ago was that?" Benjamin asked. "I don't know," Esau said, shaking her head. "Maybe weeks." Benjamin knew he had to help them. He promised Esau, "You'll stay with me. You're safe now." Esau was surprised. "With you?" "Yes. You need a safe place," Benjamin said firmly. He made sure Esau and Levi were taken care of and promised to help them find their mom. He drove them to his home in the city. At his apartment, Esau seemed nervous. It was big and modern, with tall windows and lots of space. It was very different from the dark and cold house they had been living in. Benjamin told them to make themselves comfortable, and he would get a room ready for them. Esau still held Levi close, not sure if she could trust Benjamin yet. But Benjamin promised to take care of them. "Make yourself at home," he said gently, as Esau sat on the couch, still holding Levi. Benjamin wanted to help, but he knew there was still a lot to figure out. Benjamin felt a little sad when he saw how cautious Esau was. He knew it would take time to earn her trust. Later, when he came back with a clean blanket and some new clothes, he found Esau asleep on the sofa, holding Levi in her arms. Benjamin stopped for a moment to look at them. He had never felt so responsible for anyone before. He was used to making big decisions and leading groups, but nothing in his past had prepared him for this. Still, as he looked at Esau and Levi peacefully resting, he knew he had made the right choice. Watching them made him feel more determined. He understood that taking care of Esau and Levi was just the beginning of a long journey, one that would help him learn about their mother and the strange mansion, a place full of secrets. The next morning, when the sun began to rise, Benjamin woke up early. He was determined to show Esau and Levi that they could trust him. He spent most of the night looking for shelters and services to help them, but he kept thinking that giving them to someone else didn't feel right. As he made breakfast, he heard small footsteps. Esau was standing in the hallway, holding Levi in her arms. Her eyes were red, like she had been crying all night, but there was still a strong look about her. "Good morning," Benjamin said softly. Esau nodded but didn't say anything. "I made some breakfast for you," he said, pointing to the table. "Come sit down." Esau hesitated for a moment, but she finally sat down. She put Levi in a little chair Benjamin had set up, and then sat down herself. She looked at him carefully, watching everything he did. Benjamin gave her some toast, fruit, and juice, and a bottle of milk for Levi. "I wasn't sure what you'd like, so I kept it simple," he said with a kind smile. Esau looked at the food, not sure if she could trust it. After a few seconds, she slowly began to eat in silence. Benjamin decided to try talking to her. He knew that gaining Esau's trust was important if he was going to help her and Levi. As they ate, he couldn't stop thinking about how uncertain everything was. He didn't have a plan for this. He was used to organizing everything, but this was different. Still, as he watched Esau and Levi, he knew he had to keep trying. He began thinking about how to make their life feel more normal and stable, like a real family. He set up toys for Esau and Levi, and even created a small table for Esau where she could draw or write. It was a nice sunny room, and as Benjamin worked on some papers, he thought about how important it was to give kids a stable life. "Kids deserve stability," he whispered to himself. That thought made him even more determined. Benjamin decided to take Esau and Levi to the park. At first, Isla didn't seem too sure. She looked nervous, but after a little while, she started to relax and watch the other kids playing. Levi happily babbled in Benjamin's arms, and Isla stared at the kids on the swings. Benjamin asked gently, "Did you used to play in parks?" Isla nodded a little. "Yes," she said, but her voice faded away. "Before your mom took you to the mansion?" Benjamin asked softly. Isla nodded again. "She always said things would get better, but they didn't. I wish she was here now." Benjamin put a hand on her shoulder. "I know, Isla. I promise I'll do everything I can to help you." And Levi. For the first time, Isla's eyes showed something other than distrust. There was a little bit of hope in them. Benjamin knew he was starting to earn her trust, but he also knew that this was only the beginning. To really help them, he needed to figure out what had happened to their mom and learn more about the strange mansion. Later, back at the apartment, Benjamin couldn't stop thinking about the mansion. He knew it was important. Why would Isla's mom leave them in such a scary and mysterious place? That night, after tucking Levi into bed and watching Isla curl up on the couch with a book, Benjamin decided to find out more about the mansion. He opened his laptop and started researching it. At first, he found only boring facts, like it was an old house built by a rich family a long time ago, then sold and abandoned after a fire. But when he looked at a local history site, he found something more interesting. People said the mansion was full of family arguments and bad luck. Some people even said they heard strange sounds there after it was abandoned. Superstitions, Benjamin muttered. But he felt deep down that there was more to it. The next morning, as Isla drank her coffee and Levi played on the carpet, Benjamin decided to talk to her again. He could feel that Isla was starting to trust him, but she was still hiding a lot. She looked down at her plate and said, "The mansion was the only place that felt safe. No one would find us there." "Why did you think that?" Benjamin asked. Isla hesitated and said, "I've been there before." Benjamin was surprised. "You've been to the mansion before?" he asked. Isla shook her head. "No, it was my first time, but it felt like I knew it, like something was calling me back." Benjamin decided it wasn't safe to bring Isla and Levi to the mansion, so he asked his friend Sophia to watch over them while he went back to look at it. "Are you sure you want to go alone?" Sophia asked, worried. "I have to," Benjamin said. "There's something in that house that's connected to these kids, and I need to find out what it is." When Benjamin got to the mansion, it looked even worse than before. The wind was blowing through broken windows, making the old curtains move like ghosts. Benjamin stepped inside with a flashlight and started searching the rooms again. This time, he noticed things he hadn't seen before. There were scratches on the walls, and things seemed to have been moved recently. In one room, he found an old notebook hidden under some clothes. When he opened it, he saw it was a diary. The pages made him feel cold inside. The writing was strange, like someone had written it quickly, as if they were afraid. There was a drawing in the notebook of a woman holding two children with the mansion behind them. Under the drawing, the words, "Everything is connected," were written. Benjamin closed the notebook, his heart beating fast. He didn't know what it meant, but he knew the mansion had more secrets than he thought. Back at the apartment, Benjamin found Isla playing with Levi. He was nervous to tell her what he had found, but he knew he needed to be honest. "Isla, I found something in the mansion," he said. "A notebook. I think it might have belonged to your mom or someone else who was there." Isla looked surprised. "What did it say?" she asked. "I'm still figuring it out," Benjamin replied. "But it talked about fear, secrets, and there was a drawing. It looked a lot like one of yours." Isla was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "My mom used to say the mansion was important. She said there was something there that could save us." Benjamin felt the weight of her words. If the mansion was so important to Isla's mom, maybe the answers to everything were hidden there. But the more Benjamin learned about the mansion, the more he realized that it wasn't just an old house with old stories. It was a mystery that could change everything for Isla, Levi, and himself. That evening, after Isla tucked Levi into bed, Benjamin sat in the living room, staring at the diary. He had read it many times, but it still didn't make sense. What did "everything is connected" mean? Suddenly, Isla's voice broke his thoughts. "What are you going to do with us?" she asked, standing in the doorway. Benjamin looked up at her. She wasn't just asking about now. She wanted to know if she and Levi had a safe future. "I've decided you'll both stay with me," he said firmly. Isla looked shocked. Stay with you? But what if my mom comes back? If your mom comes back, Benjamin said, we'll find her. But until then, I want to make sure you're safe. Isla looked at him carefully, trying to decide if she could trust him. Finally, she nodded. Okay, but what about Levi? Will he be okay? I'll do everything I can to take care of both of you, Benjamin promised. In the days that followed, Benjamin changed his life to make room for Isla and Levi. He hired a nanny to help with Levi while he worked, and he made a special room for Isla. The room was soft and cozy, decorated in a way that seemed to suit her. When Isla saw it for the first time, she stood still in the doorway, unsure of what to say. Is this for me? She asked. Yes, Benjamin said. This is your space now. I hope you like it. Isla gave a small smile, but it quickly faded. I've never had a room of my own before, she said quietly. Benjamin knelt beside her. Now you do, and it will always be here as long as I'm around. As Benjamin worked to create a safe home for Isla and Levi, Isla started to open up more. She told him stories about her mom, about the good times they had, and about the dreams she had before everything went wrong. One evening, as Benjamin helped Levi eat, Isla said, My mom always said one day we'd have a real home. Now you do, Benjamin replied with a smile. But even though Isla was starting to feel more comfortable, Benjamin knew there was still a lot to learn about the past. The mystery of the mansion was far from over. Isla's mom was still missing, and Benjamin couldn't help Isla and Levi feel safe until he found out what happened. One day, just when Benjamin thought he was getting closer to finding answers, Isla got a letter. It was left at their door. Who's it from? Benjamin asked, feeling nervous. I don't know, but it's written by hand, and it looks old, Isla answered. I think it's from my mom. Benjamin felt excited and worried at the same time. The letter might tell them where Isla's mom was, but it could also be something scary. I'm coming home now, he said and hung up. When he got to the apartment, he saw Isla holding the letter. Her hands were shaking. Levi was asleep in his crib, and Sophia was trying to comfort Isla. Let me see, Benjamin said. Isla handed him the letter. Benjamin carefully opened the envelope and began reading it. It said, Dear Isla, I'm so sorry for leaving you and Levi. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but I had no other choice. I promise everything I did was to protect you both. The mansion holds answers you don't yet understand, but Benjamin can help you. Trust him. He knows more about this house than you realize. With love, Mom. Benjamin stopped reading and reread the words. Isla's mom knew who he was. Isla looked at him, her eyes full of questions. What does this mean? She asked. I don't know, Benjamin said, still trying to understand. But I'm going to find out. That night, Benjamin couldn't stop thinking about the letter. It felt like there was something big that tied him to Isla's mom, the mansion, and the secrets hidden there. He didn't know what it all meant yet, but he was determined to find out. The next day, he went back to the mansion. He carried the diary he had found earlier, the letter from Isla's mom, and a strong will to solve the mystery. The mansion was no longer just a house to explore. It was connected to him in ways he didn't understand. While searching the mansion, Benjamin found something new. In the attic, where he had first found Isla and Levi, he discovered a hidden staircase. It was behind a wall that looked like part of the room. He pushed hard and made the wall move, opening a secret room. The room was small and filled with old boxes and dusty furniture. But something caught his eye, a stack of papers on a table. Benjamin picked them up and looked through them. There were property records, old letters, and pictures. One picture stopped him in his tracks. It was of his own family. It showed his grandparents standing in front of the mansion in the 1940s. This can't be real, Benjamin whispered. He looked through the papers more quickly. Then he found a letter signed by his grandfather. It talked about a partnership with the mansion's former owner. The house had once been used to store important things during the Spanish Civil War. But the relationship between the families had turned bad, leading to a big argument. That explains why my family never talked about this house, Benjamin thought. At the apartment, he showed Isla what he had found. He showed her the picture of his family and explained how his family was connected to the mansion. Isla asked, So, you already knew about the house? I didn't know everything, Benjamin said. But it seems like the mansion has a very complicated history, and somehow, you and Levi are part of it. Isla held Levi close and thought for a moment. Do you think that's why my mom took us there? Because of your family? Benjamin didn't know, but he was sure there were more secrets to uncover. A week later, Benjamin hired a historian to help figure out the old documents he had found. The historian, Lucas, spent a long time looking through the papers. He found something Benjamin had missed, a note about a hidden chest in the mansion. The chest might contain records and letters that could explain everything, even how Isla's mom knew so much about the mansion. Benjamin felt excited and scared. He knew he had to find the chest, but he was afraid of what it might reveal. 2 nights later, he returned to the mansion with tools to open the chest. Following the directions from the papers, he found the chest hidden behind the fireplace in the main hall. After working hard, he opened it. Inside, there were financial records and papers about the mansion's past. But the most surprising thing was a diary written by the mansion's old owner. The diary talked about betrayal and fights, and there were letters that said Isla's mom had discovered something dangerous. She had to leave quickly because she knew too much. It looked like Isla's mom had taken Isla and Levi to the mansion because she thought it would protect them. Back at the apartment, Benjamin told Isla everything he had found. He explained how his family was connected to the mansion and how her mom knew about its secrets. Isla thought for a moment and then said, "She did it to protect us. She knew the mansion was a place where no one could find us. Do you think she's still alive?" Isla asked, her eyes full of hope and worry. "I don't know," Benjamin said, "but we'll keep looking. Now we have a starting point." With the new information, Benjamin knew they were closer to finding Isla's mom. But he also realized that this search wasn't just about Isla's mom. It was about uncovering the past, which was tied to his own family's secrets. One afternoon, Isla was drawing on the couch, and Levi was playing. Benjamin thought about what they had learned. He needed to face the truth, no matter how hard it would be. Isla stopped drawing and looked up at him. "Do you remember anything your mom might have said about my family? Any story? Maybe a name?" Benjamin asked. Isla paused, holding her pencil tightly. "My mom never mentioned you, but she did talk about the mansion. She said it was special, and there was something there that would protect us. She said she was scared before she took us there. She cried a lot. I promise you," Benjamin said, placing his hand on her shoulder, "we'll uncover the truth, and I'll be here for you both." Later, that evening, while Benjamin was putting Levi to bed, Isla came to the door. She was holding another drawing. This one was different from the others. It showed the mansion with 3 figures, a woman, a girl, and a man. "Did you draw this?" Benjamin asked, surprised. Isla nodded. "I dreamed about it. I think it's my mom, me, and you." Benjamin stared at the drawing, feeling a strange feeling inside. Somehow, it felt like he had been part of Isla and Levi's story before he even met them. The next day, Benjamin decided to go back to the mansion. He wanted to look over all the documents again to see if he could find a new clue. While reading, he found a letter from his grandfather. It mentioned a woman named Vivian, which was also Isla's mom's name. His grandfather's letter said Vivian was the one who could protect them. Benjamin's heart raced. This isn't a coincidence, he thought. My family and hers have been connected for generations. At the apartment, Benjamin told Isla about the letter and how Vivian knew about the mansion's secrets. "So my mom knew about your family?" Isla asked. "It seems she did," Benjamin answered, "and she trusted the mansion as a safe place. But we still don't know why." Isla was quiet for a moment and then said, "She trusted you, Benjamin. My mom would have trusted you too." Those words hit Benjamin deeply. He realized he wasn't just helping Isla and Levi because he had to. He was part of their story now, and they were part of his. One day, Benjamin realized that Isla and Levi weren't just kids he was helping. They were his family. He promised he would protect them forever. Over the next months, Benjamin's life changed. He spent less time at work and more time caring for Isla and Levi. Isla went to school and quickly became known for her talent in drawing. Benjamin bought her art supplies and set up a special place for her to draw. Levi grew healthy and happy, and Benjamin learned how to take care of him. He changed diapers and calmed Levi on the hardest nights. Isla smiled at him one night and said, "You're good at this." "I'm learning," Benjamin said with a smile. One evening, while packing Isla's school bag, she said, "I remember something. Before she took us to the mansion, I overheard my mom on the phone. She said she was going to leave something important there, something that had to stay hidden? Benjamin's heart raced. Do you know what it was? He asked. Isla shook her head. No, but she said it was to protect me and Levi. Now Benjamin knew what he had to do next. He needed to go back to the mansion and find what Isla's mom had hidden there. The next morning, he drove to the mansion with Isla. They both felt nervous but ready to find the truth. They walked through the mansion and stopped at a door Benjamin had never seen before. Inside, there was an old dresser and some boxes. Isla found a small trunk locked tight. This is it, she whispered. After opening it, Benjamin found documents, letters, and a picture of Vivian holding Isla and Levi. But the most shocking thing was a letter to Benjamin. It explained how Vivian had found out something about Benjamin's family and the old owner of the mansion. Vivian said Benjamin's family had stored valuable items in the mansion, but those items had been taken unfairly. Vivian believed the mansion's records could prove what happened. At the end of the letter, Vivian made a surprising confession. She and Benjamin's family were connected. Vivian's grandmother and Benjamin's grandfather had been secretly involved. I am part of your family, the letter said. Isla was confused. What do you mean? Benjamin carefully explained everything. When he finished, Isla said, You are my family, Benjamin. You always will be. In the months that followed, Benjamin made sure that Isla and Levi had everything they needed. He officially adopted them, and they became a family. Isla kept drawing and dreaming of becoming an artist, while Levi grew up happy and full of energy. On Isla's birthday, she gave Benjamin a drawing. It showed her, Levi, and Benjamin with the word family written above. Benjamin felt tears in his eyes. You gave us everything, Isla said with a smile. No, Benjamin replied. You gave me everything. The mansion, once a place of mystery and fear, was now a home full of love, laughter, and hope. It was where Benjamin, Isla, and Levi could finally begin a new life together. If you enjoyed this story and would like to see more content like it, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel. By subscribing, you'll stay updated on all our latest, inspiring, and heartwarming stories, and have the opportunity to engage with our growing community. Additionally, I would love to hear your thoughts and feedback in the comment section below. Thank you for your support, and I look forward to sharing more captivating narratives with you.